Hello there everyone and welcome to round 4 of the CRS British Touring Car Championship. Today we are at Oulton Park, almost at the halfway point of the season. On pole was me with 48 kilograms of ballast from the previous race in my Peugeot 405, a half a second up the road from MBG in his Cavalier. Toru managed to get P3 and Tom in his Listerine BMW P4. Brad getting a very decent 5th position for him, while Vinny would get 6th with 18 kilos of ballast. Method P7 and Kitu in his return would get P8. Joseph McKenna 54 kilograms of ballast from that previous race, getting P9 in front of CRS, who would be P10. No Fridge P11, very closely followed by Alex Plunkett in P12. Ibby would get P13 on his return to the league, and the Assetto Drifter would get P14. Clementine his highest qualifying place at P15. Rosti would get P16. Riosuck not having the best of luck in P17, and Bowtie P18. Jaden with a grid place penalty, putting him all the way at the back of the grid with his 36 kilos of ballast. They're all the way down in P19. So, off the line, we were expecting the rear-wheel drive cars on the second and third row to get a big advantage coming out down into the first corner, and that indeed was the case. Vinny taking to the grass to try and go round the outside of MBG. Unfortunately, his manoeuvre not working all too well for him, allowing Brad to regain the place that Vinny took of him off of the start. Here we can get an onboard with Brad sat on his roof. You can see how far wide to the left that Vinny had to go there to just try and get past MBG going into the first corner. An unsuccessful manoeuvre, unfortunately for him, but the best start was by far from Jaden, all the way down in P19 at the very back of the grid, using the BMW's starting abilities to gain a fair few places already before the first corner. Coming around turn 1, unable to get the exit that he wants to go down the inside of Alex Plunkett, as we see Skelleris there on the left hand side. A little bit of contact between Joseph McKenna and Kitu would see them, would see Kitu go off as Brad slightly outbrakes himself coming down into the left-hander. Coming around the hairpin then, Toru is currently your leader with Tom in 4th place, me down in 3rd at the moment, as we see them all power down into the first chicane. A rather clean first lap by BTCC standards, especially for this league. No real major incidents, only the couple that were detected on that first lap. I was going to have a look down the inside of Tom here coming down into the second of the chicanes, but think better of it with, of course, Jaden quite far down the back of the grid. My championship standing currently is 1st place in the league, and Jaden is the only person at the moment who's going to be able to take that away from me. Bowtie getting very cautious going into the second of the chicanes, which allows Brad to storm down the inside of him. Riosuck made a fair few places up off of the start, but unfortunately just ran it a little bit too deep into the double right-hander, which would send him off into the gravel. Here we've got another shot. Watching the field go past, we can see how many places Jaden has made up. Still not past Plunkett yet, but with the storm that Jaden went pretty much throughout the entirety of this race, we'll see some amazing manoeuvres from him as we watch Kitu unfortunately disconnect at the end of the first lap. On board with me coming into lap 2, going down the left hander of turn 2, I was able to get alongside of Tom, who just ran that little bit wide on corner entry, so I took the chance and tried to go for it. Unfortunately, not having the straight line speed from the exit that I had to take from the corner, but still going to challenge for the outside down into the hairpins, hopefully off-put him, which is what happens, and I'm able to get the undercut and use the camber of the corner to slingshot my car into the better place. As Jaden then goes past, I believe, No Fridge in his Listerine BMW, and with the exit that he gets out the corner, he's also able to clear Method all the way before to the first corner. A brilliant bit of driving there from Jaden, as we usually see from him. A very, very class driver indeed. Now, around the first corner, you can see Method is still trying to change to the outside, but isn't actually able to get the manoeuvre done. Jaden clips the curb and luckily manages to keep his car all together. A very scary moment for him, I'm sure indeed. Coming through the second chicane, we can see a little bit of teamwork here as Vinny and his Team Dynamics Beamer allows Jaden to go through, and I believe the tactic here was for Vinny to maybe hold up the back of the pack. He does seem to be a little bit more aggressive on the brakes, especially into that second chicane, maybe trying to give Jaden a little bit of clean air. Sculleris with one ride out of the hairpin, which would allow Ibby to go for a manoeuvre down the chicane. Not usually an overtaking spot, but Ibby able to get the manoeuvre done. As we see Brett there in the car behind, who's also clawing his way back up through the field after his early race off. Here we also see Rio going off wide once again after Joseph having to stop on the inside of the chicane. I didn't comment about that earlier, but if you were paying attention you would have seen that happen. This was the battle for the lead then after a couple laps down the road. This is probably about lap 5. I was challenging Toru in his Sierra the first time he's led a race here at BCCC at CRS. He goes a little bit wide on corner exit, and I've got the confidence and trust in him to go too wide down into this little section, and I do the usual manoeuvre of trying to just squeeze him down the inside and use the momentum I can seem to carry in that Peugeot. A little bit of contact in a straight line where I think just a little bit of lapse of concentration on my behalf, and round the outside the back end goes nice and loose, but luckily able to get the manoeuvre done down into the hairpin. A little bit of locking up from both of us there, but a clean overtake indeed. Here we are once again back with Jaden on his Storm to the front of the field. He's going to go down the inside of MBG into the last corner. And you can see how much ground he's already made up really in the first half of the race, which is about where we are at this point. Just so you can get an idea of the gaps, I had a lead of about 1.5 seconds to Toru, and everybody else behind that, really all the way back to about P5, was in 4 seconds. Here we are on board with one of the Cavaliers. I believe this is of Clementine, where you can see Bowtie and one of the Renault cars go for a rather large amount of spins. Not particularly what you want to be doing. On board with Jaden here, he is going to go for the overtake on Toru after working his way up to third after Tom had a slight off. Down the inside of the fast left-hander, able to get the manoeuvre done. Toru unable to challenge back down into the hairpin right. On board with one of the Listerine BMWs, you can see how much Vinny was trying to defend off the back of Method, as they were both really all 4 wheels onto the grass coming down into the hairpin. A little bit of contact made, but luckily the Listerine driver backs off a little bit. This was a rather controversial manoeuvre from MBG. Management still looking into it at the moment, but runs slightly deep into the corner, clips Toru, and Toru losing a lot of places from that. Missing his first gear by the looks of things, just trying to find a way back into the field without obstructing anybody's front. So Brothers seem to have worked his way back up to the back of Joseph McKenna in that Carina, and those two guys would be on the Storm working their way back up through the field throughout the majority of this race. This was, I believe, Method going for the overtake on Vinny, as Vinny just runs a little bit deep into that last corner, and Method is able to get the better corner exit. Vinny's still going to have a look though down into the inside of turn 1, but there's no space there to get a manoeuvre done. A very class bit and strategic driving there from Method. This was from the BMW behind Vinny, I believe, in the following laps. Vinny really struggling, running a little bit wide out the edge of last corner, and I believe that would be no fridge going for Vinny there. After his spin, I think Tom was quite a way down the grid, but no real way to get past Vinny at the moment. A little bit wide coming around the left-hander, but still no overtaking opportunities. But there was an overtaking opportunity for Sculleris, who was closely following the little pack behind. After No Fridge outbraked himself, he was able to squeak round and get another position there. This was looking at the back of my car. I was currently leading the race at this point. We can see how far behind Jaden was. He was only really about 2.5 seconds behind at this point, I believe, but he was really closing me in towards the end of the race. This was back on board with that Listerine BMW. Sculleris runs a little bit deep into the second chicane, and he is able to sweep around the outside to gain that position back. This would be lap 15 then. I would get it slightly wrong coming out of the first chicane. He's getting very sideways on corner exit, and I would lose a whole lot of corner exit speed and Jaden would now catch right up to the back of me, which we would see lead to one of the best final laps in a CRS race that we've seen here in a long time. But that wasn't the only action that was occurring on lap 15, as Joseph McKenna had a bit of a laggy incident with Alex Plunkett, and then as we can see everybody really what happens, I think Vinny runs off wide by himself, and then there's the incident between Joseph and Alex Plunkett, and then Brett comes along down the inside. I don't think Joseph realises he's there, and then Brett goes a little bit too far to the right of the track, and then he gets clipped and off into the grass as well. This would also be lap 15, with the trio of BMW drivers really running close. Vinny would brake a little bit later than usual, and then that Listerine car would follow him, and they would both go off into a spin, giving Sculleris 2 free positions. But not only Sculleris, Torrey would come in his Sierra to claim some positions back that he'd lost early on after his incident with MBG, able to squeeze up the inside of Vinny into the last corner, getting some nice free positions on him there. Now this was the final lap, or the first half of the final lap anyway. I was currently leading the race by about half a second to Jaden, maybe not even that, as we come down then into the second corner. Really both of us are pushing on the limit at this point. Jaden able to get a slightly better corner exit than I was able to out the second corner. As we come into the fast left-hander, we're pretty much even here, but Jaden's just got enough to be able to squeeze down the inside under brakes. I try and hold it around the outside. A little bit of contact made. I'm unable to do it, but my nose is just still on his rear quarter panel as we come down into the second chicane. Now with us being about 10 seconds in front of everybody else, I still go for the manoeuvre, trying to hold it around the outside of the chicane and take an extreme rallycross line before coming over to the inside of the track. Jaden now is going to appear on the left hand side of your screen as he briefly gets ahead. I'm just able to hold it off into the last chicane, and then we come across the line together within about a tenth of each other. By far the closest end of the race for BCCC that we've had so far. It was MBG would bring his Cavalier home in third, getting some very, very good points for his Manchester team, Max Cavalier. I think that's the highest place that he's had all league. Method in his Renault 19 would be able to bring it home in fourth, a good 22 seconds down off of the leaders. Sculleris would get P5, once again about another 12 seconds behind in his BMW. Torrey would get P6, not too far behind, and then No Fridge would also get P7. He was a good 38 seconds off of me and Jaden at the front. Bread, after a very, very decent recovery drive, would end up getting P8 in his Peugeot 405. Alex Plunkett just a couple more seconds down the road in his Pinckney Motorsports BMW. Joseph McKenna would round off the top 10, closely followed by Tom in P11 in that Listerine BMW. So a very, very exciting end to the race. Some rather controversial manoeuvres, but at the time it was all in the heat of the moment. Me and Jaden have both agreed that it was a bit of both of our faults, but I wasn't going to give up the win, and I don't think he was going to give up for trying for second place. Sorry, I'm completely slattering my words at the moment. But thank you all very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you all in the next one for round 5. Cheers, and goodbye.